the limits of creation is always past memory. And identity or psychological self that we created based on that memory is often seen or perceived as a doer that runs, manages, and controls your life. So you think what you want to do. You manifest what you want to do. You visualize what you want to do. You make decisions. I want to do this, or I want to do that, or you resist what is happening in your life. Why is this happening to me? Something else should be happening to me. So when we function in this dimension, the horizontal dimension of time, we are functioning predominantly on the very slow grade of energy. And that is the energy of our psychological process, the energy of your thoughts and the energy of emotions. Because the way that we are used to create in this state is by thinking what you want, visualizing what you want, and emotionalizing. And it's very interesting that we are going to go deeper into these mechanisms to expose that, because in this line of time or conditioned limited consciousness, which is based on time and past memory, what is happening is that the identity that we assumed we are based on our past memory and experiences always feels insufficient. It always feels not good enough. It feels it's not worthy enough. It feels it needs to achieve things in the world. It feels it needs to become spiritual. It feels it needs to reach enlightenment. It feels it needs to get success, gets fulfillment. And that's how the creation happens in a limited state. So often, what people don't realize is they are creating on the basis of feeling in the lack or the perceived sense of lack, feeling in the perceived sense of inadequacy, trying to boost self-image based on that past memory. So the predominant drive for achieving something, for reaching some sort of fulfillment into the future is based on fundamental discontent of the presence of life that is now and the past memory that is imposing itself on that presence of life or on the present moment. Now, let me rephrase it in a different way. The psychological self or the conditioned identity, conditioned consciousness is always in conflict with life, with the dimension, the vertical dimension of the present. And it's always, because it's always getting its ideas from the past memory, projecting them into the future, trying to reach a certain state that that psychological self perceives or hopes will bring fulfillment, joy, happiness, contentment. Yeah. So, for example, you want to build certain business, and it happens all the time. There's many of my clients who are coming through that deeper inner realization. They recognize that their drive to achieve was predominantly based on the pain of seeking love and fulfillment. Now, you can imagine that if the creation is happening in this line and the identity or psychological self creates always with the view to get something in the future for fulfillment, fundamentally, creation is happening from that energy of discontent. Yeah, am I making myself clear? So I'm not fulfilled as I am. I am feeling unworthy. I am feeling lack. So that's why I need to build a business, make tons of money to prove to myself that I'm worthy, to prove to myself that I'm fulfilled. The same mechanism is found in the spiritual dimension, same mechanism of running after enlightenment, because you are hoping that there's going to be some liberation in the future. You're going to be released from pain in the future. You're gonna be, I don't know, illumined or great in the future. So the same mechanism of discontent, it can express itself in various ways. It can express itself in the practical aspects as building a business that is fundamentally based on the sense of deep inner unworthiness or deep inner longing for approval or recognition or love. It can be the mechanism behind seeking enlightenment, same mechanism for seeking fulfillment. It can be creating relationship, because you are feeling the lack of love. So you are looking for someone to fulfill you, to make you complete, to choose you. The same mechanism can be expressed in a different versions of life. And what happens is, in this dimension of creation, that the desires that arise out of this state is predominantly desires that are born out of perceived sense of lack or pain, of not being loved, of not being accepted. And it's very difficult to see that when you are in this line, in the horizontal line, because the conditioned consciousness, the mind, and the perceived sense of self, the self-image, will always divert your attention from seeing clearly and exposing the mechanisms. Always. That's why to come to hear these words, you must have already an openness in you to receive them, because you are ready to start creating your life in a totally different way. So, in this way, in the limited time consciousness, we are conditioned to do things to get something, not to do things for the sake of doing them. It can be very obvious for some of you that, of course, I do things to get something, right? Why do I do what I do? I want to get a certain result. Why do you build a business? Because you want to get this result. And that's all fine if you are doing what you enjoy every moment. Let me rephrase that. Your activity in the conditioned state arise from fundamental discontent now with a view to get something in the future. So I am doing what I don't really enjoy now, but I want to get something. I'm doing this job or I'm doing this business that I don't really enjoy, but I want to get money. That's a classical example how we are conditioned to function. And if you function in this way, you will never create joyfully. And that's the key to our meeting today, to this transmission, that you come to the state of joyful creation. But you can't have joyful creation if you are all the time in conflict within. So you are in conflict with life now by being in resistance to what is. For example, I'm feeling not good enough or unworthy, and I want to create something so that I feel good about myself. Yeah, I'm feeling incomplete, so I need a partner to feel fulfilled and complete. I'm feeling unloved. I feel lack of love, so I need a child to feel love. And these are all real ways how we create our living life. And you may ask, so what is wrong with these ways? Well, there is nothing wrong with the limited dimension as such. The thing is that if you are creating from fundamental resistance and conflict with life, you are going to get the same resistance and conflict as a result. Because whatever is the origin, whatever is the state, the origin of the creation, it is already included in the result. Yeah, so if we are creating with that energy that is predominantly based on the sense of lack, sense of a sense of unworthiness or not good enoughness. And it's common for so many. Don't think that you are the only one feeling this way. There are super talented and super successful people externally who are still feeling unworthy and not enough. And this tiny feeling can damage your entire life and what you create, because it fundamentally will recreate itself in whatever you create, however wonderful that is. So the energy of feelings or emotions and thoughts, that is the slow pace energy, and our world is functioning on this energy. Everyone is emotional, everyone is producing that feelings. So even if you are feeling not good enough, you are trying to suppress these feelings and build an image of confidence that, yes, I'm confident, I'm good enough. But what that does is that it pushes that not enoughness and unworthiness deeper underneath. So you can have the facade of very confident man or woman, but underneath there will be still that layer of energy that is suppressed. So you can, so this dimension, yeah, so this dimension, we are still talking about this dimension, and we are exposing the mechanism so you can see the difference, because we want to come out of that dimension. And I call it, this dimension, the comfort zone, or not even the comfort zone, or the zone of resistance, because predominantly the way we create is in resistance. So we are resisting life as it is now, and we are forcing our projections on life. We are forcing our, what we think would make us fulfilled, what we want. We are forcing. We are all the time forcing what we want on life. And life, being what it is, always shows us that if we force our projections on life, then the force always has the opposite effect. It comes back to you or against you. And that means that if you're forcing your projection on life, what often happens, you can technically get what you wanted, but then there's something somewhere else in your life makes you unhappy or unfulfilled. Your relationship breaks, or something somewhere in your life will get a downside. Or whatever you get, you will realize that it's not what you wanted. It did not bring that fulfillment that you were hoping for. That's the way of limited personal consciousness. Because when we are in that layer of energy, feelings, thoughts, they are very dense, yeah, because you can experience the feelings, the thoughts, you can experience that. And that feelings have always the opposite, which is why if we are creating from that dimension of energy, we always get in the opposite. So we are creating, I'm repeating myself, from fundamental discontent. being unfulfilled, then we are hoping that whatever we are doing in life will get us that fulfillment. But we are going to get the same thing, feeling unfulfilled and discontented. And please, I ask you as we go along to just see that in your own life. The examples where you wanted something really badly and then you got it, and either something went wrong or you realize that you don't want it anymore. You realize that whatever you get or whatever you got was not fulfilling for you. You just see it in your experience. See, whatever we are doing that, it's a very, very clear. We are clear in our perception and start looking from a different dimension to see our life from a different perspective. Not seeing ourselves close, because if we are looking at ourselves here, yeah, you are in this position, you are looking at yourself here, you will not be able to see clearly, because you see, well, I mean, I can't see anything. I just want to do that, and I do that, and I force, and I visualize, and I project, and I manifest whatever, whatever we've been taught by manifestation teachings and all of the teachings that are popular these days. Yeah, like what's called think and grow rich, or the secret. You have to imagine that you get 1 million and it will land on your lap. I mean, all of that nonsense is happening, and there are a lot of that. But and when you are here, that's how it is. Yeah. So what is a different way? We come out of this dimension. We come out into a totally different grade of energy, the energy from which I'm speaking and from which this masterclass is created. And that is the vertical dimension that is beyond time, or the dimension of your being, which is now. So here we do not have any feelings or emotions. We do not have any thoughts. Here we are not operating in the past memory. It does not mean that you cannot use your memory in a practical way, by the way of remembering the practical knowledge that you learned that you need to perform your daily operations. It's not, you can still use your memory in that way. It's the only way how we learn to use our memory. In any other way, we are stepping back from our memory. And this is your genius zone. The moment you break away, you step aside from the limitation of time, from the limitations of past memory, you enter the genius zone. And every one of you is this genius zone, because every one of you is this dimension, another dimension of your innermost being. Yeah? So what, this energy is very subtle, and we are going to go into subtleties. It's very subtle. That's why we miss it when we are running in this dimension, because we are always overlaying our thoughts, our feelings on that beautiful state of being. We want all the time to put something, some impositions on this dimension. that is free from the past, free from time, free from memory. That is not a complex intellectual idea. That is your state, that every one of you is fundamentally. Yeah, we are just taking aside. Imagine we are just going into a different shift of energy. That is so quick. And you may experience that. It's so quick. The vibration is so quick, that is so subtle, that there is no movement at all. Yeah, because it does not move as thought or emotion, because thought and emotion always has certain density that is perceived. But we come to that state of purity. And in this state, we are creating in a totally different way. That is the joyful creation as God's being.